It is Saturday morning. Am I babbling? Am I making no sense to anybody at all? All right. So this is me recording a story that I'd like to read you because, after all, it is Saturday for you and it is story time. As many of you will know, we have asked people to write in about their own experiences. If they've had an experience with me, that's brilliant. They can write in and remind me of it or tell the story, which I shall read out. Or if you have a story of your own that you would like to tell about your own experiences without me being involved, that's also fine. We're going to take these stories from time to time, and I'm going to read them out. So people are sending in emails. We're getting quite a few people sending in stories, so thank you for that. So as always on a Saturday morning, we do begin our story time with Once Upon a Time. So once upon a time, uh, where do I begin? This is a story, I do believe, from a lady who lives in England and who lived in England at the time when I also lived in England, which is, golly, so many years ago. As I read the story, she refers to coming to me for readings. A lot of people call having a session with a medium, they call them readings. Some people call them clairvoyant readings, but everybody's got a different way of referring to them. I usually refer to my connections with people, my consultations with people, as just that, as consultations. I consult with the spirit world, I talk to the spirit world. Readings to me, or even the explanation, I do understand why people do say readings, but it does imply that I'm reading your mind or that I'm reading the mind of somebody in the spirit world. And nothing can be further from the truth, because as I'm talking with the spirit world, when people come to see me for a consultation, I will talk to their loved ones in the spirit world. I will talk to their families. I will talk to Grey Eagle as he's talking to me about these things. And by the way, yes, he is here with me today, standing to my right side, chuckling because he's always here with me. So when I'm with Grey Eagle and we're talking to people and bringing forth messages from the spirit world to people, or when people come to see me for a session, I always refer to those sessions as consultations. So I'm going to read this email. I'm going to read all of the stories I get. Without editing at all. I'm going to read in somebody else's words, the words that they may say something, not the way that I might say something. From time to time, as I'm reading the stories, I might sort of stop and give a little thought, or maybe even sort of suggest that I would have put it another way. But basically, I'm going to read the story as it's been sent to me. So all right, so let's begin then. Once upon a time, there was and still is a lady who lives in England. I think she still does. Her name is Vicky. And Vicky, I just would like to say thank you so much for sharing this with me. And this is Vicky's story. I'm going to turn this light down because I can see the light reflecting in my glasses. You don't want that, do you? So all right. So I'm going to read Vicky's email to me about her experiences with me. So I'm going to read it in her own words. So here we go from Vicky. From being 17 to 30, I regularly, and in parentheses she puts yearly, received readings with Rosemary. The last being in 1989, golly, it's a long time ago, shortly before she left for pastures new in the USA. Fond memories of Epworth when Samantha was a small child, and then to her home in Scorby, my last visit. I also saw Rosemary at several evening gatherings where large crowds would gather to hear her speak, all hoping to receive a message from the spirit world. So, initially, she goes on, I would go with my mum, now passed. My formative years were filled with knowledge of the spirit world, in parentheses, my mum's legacy, but also personal experience. Prophetic dreams were commonplace, as was unexplained happenings in our home. Kettles, TVs turning on, lights being played with, etc. But the most common was, and still is, clocks and watches being changed, usually by 1 hour, all little reminders that I'm never alone. I like this story so far. I hope you like this story so far. I followed Rosemary's career with avid interest, she says. And yes, I have all the books which I treasure. So too, I love to watch the broadcasts you are now doing, including the cookery ones. I love to cook too. I'm laughing as I have our latest, I am laughing as I have our later readings on cassette tapes, such treasured possessions, but which I can no longer listen to. Who has a tape player nowadays? I must fix that somehow. And I did actually, when I read this, I emailed her back to say you can get them transferred. Okay, she goes on. Our readings were not always pleasant, LOL. And I now look back with a smile on my face and remember how sometimes I'd come away tetchy, convinced that the course of action I chose or took would prove her wrong. I think she means me. Do you think she means me? I never won. Rosemary's gift was never wrong. Over the years, I've repeatedly heard her words. I'm not a fortune teller, and you have free will. I am not allowed to interfere with your free will, but, and she puts the but in big caps. Oh my, she says, when Rosemary saw the options, she would bluntly inform you of any possible negative outcome. And yes, she was always right. Do remember, please, when you're listening to this, this is not me saying this. This is Vicky saying this. Okay, so on we go. During our reading, I asked Rosemary if I would ever become a mother. Her answer was an emphatic yes. But she mentioned a dark side in my womb. She assured me that all would be well. As always, years later, Rosemary's words came back to me when it was discovered in surgery that one ovary was totally wiped out due to a large cyst. This had previously caused an unknown issue with fertility, meaning that I would only have an opportunity to conceive every 2 months. I always held on to her words, all will be well, and never doubted that I would fall pregnant when meant. Again, Rosemary was right. I'm not sure if I'm reading you this story because I like to hear people say how right I am all the time. I'm not really sure. But anyway, remember, her words, not mine. And I don't think I'm always right. But anyway, all right. So on she goes. Many moons ago, Rosemary told me that I was surrounded by blue, denoting healing. She said that it was so strong that one day I would be in a similar scenario to us at the moment, and that I too would be helping people. I thought she was mad. A lot of people do. I'd thought of studying all things spiritual or healing, especially when I heard that she had a healing center quite local to me. However, I had a successful career in pharmacy, so didn't budge. Roll on a few years, and my passion for mental health, and in parentheses, has to be a better way than chemical, led me to my present career of psychotherapist. Yes, I think I'm saying yes, psychotherapist. I have been running my own practice for 16 years now and love it. Many, many times I have been in my little office with a distressed client, and been reminded of Rosemary, sometimes even felt like Rosemary. I can at times be blunt in the kindest of ways. Is she saying like Rosemary? I wait a minute here. I can sometimes be blunt in the kindest of ways, and this reminds me of Rosemary. But judging from the outcomes has been the right thing to do. All the clients I receive through word of mouth, something that I'm very proud of. Likewise, they return when needed, which tells me that I'm on the right track. This sounds great. I'm so glad, Vicky, that you're doing all of this. This sounds wonderful. She goes on. I came from quite a large, close family, and sadly, in parentheses for me, lost almost all before I reached 35 years, including 2 very dear friends. But again, caps, but through Rosemary's gifts, my ability to deal with death has been strong and steadfast. I am very pleased that I was able to accompany my mum's passing, holding her hand and encouraging her to let go of the pain and to take her next journey. It was a good death, but not an experience I can easily share with many people. Thank you for sharing with us then, Vicky. After Rosemary left for the States 30 odd years ago, gosh, is it that long? I did try readings with 2 or 3 mediums, highly recommended by others. Oh dear, what tripe. Sorry, Rosemary, she says. But after having readings with you, they didn't come close. And so I've sulked a bit, LOL, and I haven't bothered or wasted my money since. My sister laughs at me for my repeated stance. No, I'm not going to see anyone else because they're not Rosemary. As the saying goes, who would eat hamburger when you could have steak? Vicky, that's so sweet. Okay, now here she goes again. An interesting thing happened recently. Picture the scene. Lockdown due to COVID. Surreal way of living. One afternoon in the sunshine, I had relaxed listening to one of Rosemary's live shows. I followed for the hour and gained some solace in listening to Rosemary's words and the connection with the live show. Later that evening, back in the house, the hubby and I were relaxing, watching TV before bed. Suddenly, a Bible, in parentheses, small, pocket size, which had belonged to a past loved relative, flew from the bookshelf onto the lounge floor. My hubby had a duck fit, trying very hard to tell himself that a mouse had gotten into the house, climbed to the top of the shelves, pulled out the book, and thrown it on the floor. It made me smile a lot, as she says. Consolidation for the peaceful feeling I had got that very day, reconnecting with Rosemary's words. Another reminder that loved ones are always there in the spirit world and that I am never alone. I love this story. And so I shall share Rosemary's many gifts to me through our readings and her books that have guided me for 40 years and counting. Golly, am I that old? All right, we're almost at an end because she's going to share now with us the gifts that she says she's had through the 40 years of knowing me and knowing about the spirit world. And she's made a list. And, you may, those of you listening, might want to take note of this list because it is a great list of the things that we can learn from connecting with the spirit world, that we can learn from our beliefs and our belief systems. Okay, so here is the list. And there are 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 things that she writes down. These are the gifts that she feels that she's received. Affirmation, strength, proof, comfort, faith, not to fear death, trust, love, and last but by no means least, peace. So this is my Saturday morning story. I'm going to say the end, because as you all know, all good stories begin with once upon a time and they always end the end. So this is the end of Vicky's email to me. And first and foremost, I've already said thank you so many times, Vicky, but thank you so much once again. And thank you for this list of the things that you feel that have been gifted to you through connecting with your loved ones in the spirit world, through connecting with, the idea of spirituality. I'd be interested, Vicky, to know how old you were when you first came to see me, because you say in your email that you came actually with your mum, that she brought you with her, or maybe it was that you just came together. I am thrilled that you've had such good experiences. I'm really sorry that you were not able to find another medium to go to, but you know where I am now, don't you? So that means you can connect with me at any time. For those of you who are wondering, how do I get a consultation with that woman? Yes, that woman. That's what I'm known as throughout the world. People say you go into a bookstore and you ask for you can't remember the title of the book. That woman, that English woman, that the one who talks to dead people. So I've always been known throughout the world as that woman, which suits me down to the ground. It's perfectly fine. But how do you get a consultation with that woman? How do you have these experiences? Now, Vicky was obviously from her email, she was very fortunate in that she must have lived reasonably close, at least a car drive away. So she lived reasonably close to me. It was easy for her to get to. And she began the email by saying she and her mum would come once a year. And that's how it used to be. People would come to me on a regular yearly basis. If they had an issue or a problem in between that year, they could call me up and see if I had a spot for them. And I would somehow, if it was important, I would somehow fit them in. But I think that, this is a great example of how if we stay in touch with our loved ones, if we stay in touch with the spirit world, if we do make that, even if it's a yearly commitment, to connect with them via the help of a medium, a good medium, obviously, then I think, there's so much to be gained from that, because there's so much, it's the process, the questions that you want to ask, the way to ask those questions. There's a part of this email where Vicky describes sometimes it was an awful experience. What she really means is that sometimes when I'm talking to those in the spirit world, they might have to be tough with us if they see us going down the wrong path, or if they see us being, perhaps not as sensible as we might be, or if they see us sort of mixing with the wrong crowd or the wrong type, or if there's something to say. Let's say your mother is in the spirit world. Let's say it's me with my daughter or my grandson, and I'm looking down on them and I'm seeing them really going off in the wrong direction. I'm not going to hold back. And I want a medium. I want to be able to connect with them through a medium who is also, because I don't want to hold back, the medium is also not going to hold back and is going to be a bit stern sometimes. Don't you think you're being foolish? Don't you think that boyfriend that you've got now, don't you think, what do you think to this? What do you think to his behavior? Is this behavior that you would like to see in anyone else? And so on. So sometimes we hear things from a medium that we don't always like, but as I've always said to people, we don't always get what we want, but we always get what we need. Maybe in our regular story time, I'll tell you the story of the family who came to me, who absolutely did not get what they wanted, because they actually got nothing at all initially. But it became apparent within a day after leaving my house why they got nothing. They got nothing from the spirit world. And these are people who came to me regularly. The whole family came to me regularly, at least once a year, or maybe sometimes twice a year. So they were used to being able to connect with the spirit world. They were used to hearing from their loved ones in the spirit world. And now they come and what? And they travelled halfway across England, this couple, to come to talk to me. And what? And you're telling us what? That you don't hear anything? You don't see anything? There's nothing there? But the next day they realised why. And the next week when they came back to me, there was a whole different issue. It was a whole different consultation. And they got exactly not only what they wanted, but they also got what they needed. So if you need nothing, you'll get nothing. And if you need nothing, and a medium says to you, you know, sorry, but I got nothing here. There's nothing coming through. I don't see anything. A medium can say one of two things. We can try again another time if you would like, and I won't charge you for the second session. Or they can say, I've got nothing for you and I'm going to return the fee. I always return the fee if I feel that people aren't happy, or if I feel that I haven't done a good job. So, you know, so Vicky is an example of a family who came. She and her mother came on a regular basis. They got to know me. And look what a difference it's made to Vicky. And look how much easier it was. Certainly not easy, I'm sure, Vicky. Certainly not easy to sit by your mother's bedside and hold her hand while she passed. That must have been a hard thing for you to do. But how much easier knowing that your mum was safe, how much easier that you've had those experiences, that you can understand exactly what's happening. All right, this is our story time for our Saturday. And so please write to us. Please write your own stories. I'm having a wonderful time reading your stories, because a lot of them are, I met Rosemary when, and this is what happened then. And a lot of the things I have no recollection of. I don't remember them at all. And occasionally I'll think, as with one email we had, oh gosh, I remember when I went there. I don't remember the lady, but I do remember. Yeah, I remember something about that. So it's fabulous for me too. So I'm being a little bit selfish when I say to you, can you just write to me and let me know how I did or how you're feeling? And even if it's a negative, that's okay too. So remember this, when you go to see someone like me, I'm not sure if that's a misnomer that I'm not sure there is anybody quite like me, because I am a bit weird, you know. But when you go to see a medium, a good medium, someone who is real, you don't always get what you want, but you actually always get what you need. And you might not see it at the time, but within a few weeks or so, you will know exactly, oh my gosh, I really needed to know those things, because this has prepared me for what is going on right now. Don't be afraid if you feel that a medium is fake, or if you feel a medium is not good or not as good as you wanted. If a medium is real, they will say to you, before you even have a chance to say it to them, they will say to you, and I always say to everybody, before we even begin the consultation, if this does not work, and there are no guarantees that it will, if this does not work, then you can do one of two things. We can book another appointment for you and try again, or just say the word, I'll return your fee. We actually had a lady the other day who was disgruntled, a little bit disgruntled, because we couldn't fit her in when she wanted us to fit her in. I get that. I understand. You know, you make a decision to do something, you want to do it now, but we couldn't fit her in. However, she had sent her fee in, we had accepted it, and we had tried our very best to do the best we could for her. But for some reason, we had to change her appointment. And so maybe, you know, she was disappointed. Maybe she was upset. And she said, well, if you can't fit me in sooner, then I'll just have to have a refund. Well, as soon as it was out of her mouth, that's what we did. We sent her a refund. She wrote back the next day, you know, because we wrote and said to her, we've sent you the refund. Did you send, what did you do? Did you send me a refund? I don't think she meant to have the refund. I think she was trying to sort of force the issue. You've got to see me as soon as I want you to see me. And sometimes it's not possible for us to do that. But a good medium will always say to you, if you're not happy, we'll send you a refund, no matter how long it takes. And I've sat with people 2 or 3 hours and given them a refund, because it's not, I don't charge for the time I'm spending with you. I charge for the quality of what I give to you, what we're able to give to you. All right, so that's it. This is the end of our story time. Please, 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 all of you out there, I hope you've enjoyed this story, which is not mine, it's Vicky's. Thank you again, Vicky, for sharing that with us. I do have to rectify the she's always right. No, I'm not, but the spirit world is, and Grey Eagle is, and we can trust them to lead us on the right path. On that note, please, all of you out there, have a very, very blessed rest of the day, Saturday. Have a very blessed rest of the weekend. Why don't you? Hopefully, I shall see you next Thursday, which will be The Spirit World Sees All, and we'll be doing a Q&A. Please go to our website, rosemaryaltea.com, if you are interested in booking a session, or if you are interested in knowing about the event that we're going to have, the webinar that we're going to have, where I'm going to sit for at least 2 hours giving out messages right, left and center, with the help of Grey Eagle, of course. If you want to know more about that, please do keep tapping in to our website. We'll let you know as soon as we know what the dates are going to be. But if you do want to do that, you do need to have to book in early, because tickets will be limited. Have a very, very blessed rest of the weekend, everybody. And I'll see you when I see you, won't I? I should be back in Florida by then, I hope. So we'll see you